Hey folks, it's A.S. Christie. I know I haven't made too many videos in a while. I've been very busy with the writing and also some personal things that have come up. So I've heard some discussion about this. So people have asked me because I usually have a peculiar view, but also because one of the last videos I did before taking like a 4-month break from doing many videos was on Nazi occultism, and I feel like the implication I may have let hanging is that I ran away from writing to go off and do goose stepping as a neo-Nazi, and as you can see by the fact that I still have long hair, it's not true. I will say that I've gotten that accusation before, even before I made that particular video, because I live in America, and I'm not a big fan of Israel, so in America, everyone who is remotely critical of Israel must automatically be a Nazi. So I wanted to give, in essence, an incredibly brief and not terribly deep explanation of what my political philosophy is at the present time, which is in the late spring of 2015. So, if you'll excuse me. I may need to refill that over the course of this video. I think that basically everybody holds two sorts of political views. One is specific to their own political circumstance, and the other is what I would call a wish list view. Ideal circumstances, how would you arrange society? So my circumstance specifically is living in the United States today, and if I were living in Europe right now, I would probably be called a Christian Democrat, although I can't say that in this country, because in this country that means that I'm basically a Christian who would vote for Democrats, and anyone who knows me knows I would never vote for a Democrat. So I think the first basis of political philosophy is one's immediate interest. And I've intimated this before, and I talk about my political views in my second manuscript, that, I come from a working class background. And even if I'm trying to break into writing, I still see myself as involved in the working class. I think that the liberal project has mostly abandoned the working class, of which I'm a part. Within 10 miles of where I'm sitting was the famous Molly Maguire incident. It's a major event in the history of organized labor, and coal miners organized, they fought, and died for rights they eventually got. Not necessarily in this area, but the coal miners' union got a bloody birth right here in the anthracite region of Pennsylvania. Now, it should surprise no one that given the environmentalists' hatred of coal, logically also they hate coal miners' unions. A big part of their case for getting better benefits was that their jobs were dangerous. And the environmentalists try to apologize by saying, oh, we'll give you clean, safe, environmentally friendly jobs, which in essence undermines the very purpose of their unions. To give you a more permanent example of how environmentalism screws the working class, my father is a quarryman. He works for a company that provides paving materials and stuff, and that business has been hurt immensely by the anti-fracking movement, because that company used to build up in northern Pennsylvania the platforms and the well caps and stuff they used for the drilling. And because of the anti-fracking whiners, it's become very difficult for that type of business to be done. I mean, but that's just one example, right? Another example I can think of is that Obamacare, which I will agree has certain positive benefits, has targeted health plans, the so-called Cadillac plans, that working people have lobbied so hard for to get. In other words, it's undermining the health care built up by the working people. To me, though, the biggest problem with the liberal project for the working class is that it makes them essentially consider or pressure them to abandon their sources of spiritual and temporal strength, right? There's an anti-religious sentiment on the left and an anti-gun fringe that doesn't fly with many working class people, especially rural working class people who are religious and who are gun owners. Again, a personal example. My mother is a teacher, right? So they're part of the teachers' unions, which I support, just out of sheer basic personal necessity. My family benefits from the union. But I know a lot of teachers, and my mother, who is religious, has been tempted as well to withdraw support from the union, withdraw membership from the union, because the national teachers' unions support candidates, liberal candidates, who are in favor of, well, especially abortion, but also things like gay marriage, universal contraception, etc. So, I support, personally, a vision of working class success, which is wedded, whatever, to a cultural and religious and physical center of strength. And I wish to divorce it from the omni-tolerant liberal experiment. And honestly, we all know that the liberalism has a more vicious core of hardline socialism. It should be noted, obviously, that I would not support the oligarchical leanings of American conservatism and the religious fanaticism used to support that sort of polity. So those are the sort of basic practical concerns. Beyond this, my sort of grand view, if you like, leans toward anarchy. Specifically, to quote J.R.R. Tolkien, anarchy philosophically understood as the absence of control, not whiskered men with bombs. I have an excellent set of whiskers. So, like many anarchists, especially on the left, will do this no true anarchist thing. Where they talk about, well, you can't have any non-collective authority. You can't have God, you can't have, the wise man can't get respected any more than anyone else. I think this view is impossible. I support a notion of anarchy free of control, but not free of authority. Let me explain. In this sense that I'm talking about anarchy, I'm talking about organic emergence in social organization. Imagine like a network of small rural communities in some countryside far away from big government. How might these societies or individuals interact with each other? That's sort of the interesting question here. In such a world, there's no social top-down control from some central government somewhere. That's not to say there's no authority. What about a righteous person or a wise person? Wouldn't they be looked at with some kind of reverential authority, or a minister of the spiritual needs, or a physician, or the head of the guild? If you have those kinds of organized labor, or even, to borrow from Confucius, the notion of filial piety, right? The relationship between father and son. And even if there is a monarch that emerged from this, he would have to rise as a consequence of being a skilled commander or a charismatic leader and being able to provide the materials of war. He may do it, that's the worst case, he may do it diplomatically, but it would, if a monarch were to rise from that, he would be arising from it due to his innate quality of authority, not that which was imposed by some planner, right? This is an anarchy against social controllers and schemers, not the authority of the natural order or of spirit. But both of these views, though, are an affirmation of Christian democracy, and this Tolkienian anarchy are rooted in distributism, a view that individually or collectively people must secure for themselves the basic means of economic empowerment. The means of production, collectively, personally, must be widely and privately distributed. This is the essence of much Christian social teaching. The current Pope is an advocate. Again, this is just an overview. Thank you.